Yo, here we are, CJCJ show number 5, episode 5. We're here in the North, we're back on the North American side of things. We're hanging out, and we have some very special guests today, obviously myself, Chrome and Jarzo, but we are joined by none other than a couple of big dogs in the scene, a couple of boys, Chicago and Garrett. Now tell me, be honest, elephant in the room, are we here for the top 4 buff, or are we here to hang out with the boys?
It's definitely a little bit of both, like who doesn't want to hang out with CJ, Chrome, and Jarzo? It's a good time, but I can't lie. When Stormlight won, he said, Chicago, you need to get on the show, so here I am.
I mean,
I just said yes because you said Chicago's on here, so I figured I'd join.
Let's go.
I don't know.
And it was my first invite, actually. I feel like maybe my second invite. I don't think I've been really invited before, to be honest with you, that I can remember.
I think this was your first. I want to say that you suspiciously responded like 10 minutes after Cash made top 4. Tell me.
Oh, I didn't know. I wasn't thinking about that. I didn't know Cash was on. I wasn't thinking about that.
That was.
It
was actually crazy. Like I woke up, checked the time, and I was like, because I was looking at the games. Quadrant, obviously, Cash top 4, keeping the buff alive.
Oh yeah, because I waited 3 days to reply, and then it was Saturday, 3:30 p.m. I said, yeah. It probably was right after they won. That's
I think
funny.
It was literally 10 minutes after Quadrant Run, which is like you were waiting to see if the buff was real, and as soon as you were like, hang on a minute.
Dude, if we both get top 4, like, I don't know, there's some suspicious stuff going on at that point, but yeah, I guess we'll see.
Is it suspicious, or did we just super?
I mean, we're 7 for 7. There's something going on.
It's
7 teams.
It's 7 for 7.
7 teams, yep.
Jeez.
More, I think isn't it more if you include Rob has been on every show,
yeah.
and then SSG also has gotten top 2.
No, it's 9 if you include Chrome. The top 4s. I mean, that's at that point. Like, what is this right now? What are we dealing with? Is this like some weird, like voodoo sort of stuff we got going on?
Maybe you guys talking to people right before they play just get some focus. Like maybe it's just hard hitting questions that makes them like peak.
Or
maybe
the people that want to come on are like so not so confident, but they just relaxed. They know that they're going to get the job done on the weekend, because some people won't want to chat the day before a regional because they're worried about how it's going to go. But maybe the confident ones come on the show.
I mean, I could imagine, like, if you're worried about your performance the upcoming weekend, you're not going to want to do any like content or anything.
Well, I mean, you say that, but we've got 2 guys in one of the biggest NA major battles the world has ever seen. So maybe there's just a lot of confidence amongst the boys. But I want to, you guys saw the tiebreakers. I want to start with there because they just got announced that the tiebreakers, for those that haven't seen on Twitter, will be played straight after the regional, or maybe like 30 minutes after, like a little bit of a gap, and then straight into the tiebreakers if there are any. What do we think about that one, boys? Straight into it.
I mean, at least you get it over with. Like, not like another big build up, but I don't know. It's kind of odd. Like, I feel like people are gonna like leave the stream and then be like, "Oh wait, there's another series." But if it happens, but I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's that weird.
Yeah, I mean, surely they talk about it quite a bit, right? Like, surely they mention it on the desk like every series or something. Especially if there's already a tiebreaker lined up.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, they have to.
Me and Jaz were talking about earlier. Like, imagine like you make it to the grand finals and you still have to play a tiebreaker and you lose, and then you have to like play another series after to qualify for land.
Is that possible?
Well, like,
I honestly think it is possible.
Is it?
I imagine if you make it to the grand finals, like, I mean, I'm sure there's certain situations where it can happen, but if you make it to the grand finals and you win, so like, for example, say like peak tournament happens, us Energy or like 2 teams, like Energy, Optic or something, playing the grand finals, like whoever wins that is most likely just going to clinch that 5th spot, so it won't even matter. But I guess there is like a literal 3% chance or something where you can still end up having to play the tiebreaker.
But imagine though. That would be
my life.
If we both make the final and Space Station gets top 4, do one of us have to win? Like, to make it? Is that how that works? Or
I thought like Space Station only needs top 8 or something.
No, we need to be top 4 to secure it. Like D-Rex said, if Fury makes it to the grand finals and lose to G2, for instance, we play a tiebreaker against Furia.
So I guess the other teams have it easy then. Like Gen G,
Wait, but what if
phase
G2 and
V1.
NRG make finals? Do you know?
Well,
Well, the thing is, they got a point above Furia, so I think they would honestly make it.
Even if you guys get top 4?
Yeah, if you guys
Not-
get top 4.
Well, if we get top 4, automatic.
Oh,
No matter
okay.
what.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
I love how no one really know. Like, this is a situation. All the points are so close and different that no one really knows the scenarios. Like, what are there? Like 5 teams right now. Like, what if can I guess can Spotify and Complexity like win the regional and just jump everyone?
Yeah, 16
Spotify.
points is massive. I mean, like look at V1 and FaZe. They won a regional, and like that
It's like
16
clear.
points is just like insane. They just have to win 2 series, and then they're good for the major. No matter what. Whereas we got top 4 twice. We only have 18 points compared to their 16 off one event.
Yeah, winning is pretty huge.
Winning is huge.
yeah.
It's more this season, right? I think I saw
Yeah.
that it's like even more. It's weird.
Wait, so not only were the points like changed to be like double digits, they're also the balance is changed as well.
I think like getting second is like, yeah, it is. I'm pretty sure it is changed. I think getting second is closer to the first than first is now. Like you get a lot more.
First is further away. You get more
Yeah.
points for first this season. I think it's like 33% more than second. Versus
Yeah,
last
yeah,
season was like
that's-
30. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the spread is the same across like 5th to 8th, 3rd to 4th, 3rd to 2nd. Like the 3 points is the same spread as last season.
I really like the points being smaller. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I like when it was like bigger numbers.
What, you like this?
Maybe it's just changed. No, I like it like when it was like, I don't remember, but it was like, for example, 150 for a win or something, or
It
whatever
was
the
like
numbers were.
350. It feels
like
closer though
350.
with the smaller
I think it was
numbers.
It
300
feels
for
closer, yeah.
split one.
Yeah, probably. I just thought it was easier to understand, but I guess it's just being changed.
Yeah, it makes it feel close. It feels like everyone is right there. Like anyone could just have a good event, which is basically how it is. Like first place, you get 16
Yeah.
points. That's, you know, what's the magic number to qualify? What's everyone trying to sort of get to in the points?
I think
I feel like I saw
24 is
G-Rec
guaranteed. Could be wrong. Forgot already.
I think so, because like everyone's at like 23, right? Or like FaZe and V1 are 23 or something.
FaZe and V1 are 27, Gen G 36, and then Space Station is 23.
Jesus.
And then us and you guys 15.
Yeah, it is pretty scary though when you look at all the teams and they're like us, Energy, and Tide. Furious 1 point, and then the next like Optics 1 point, like Tide just 1 point below, and then scary.
70 no matter other results. So what?
Well, you get 3 points because we qualify for the Winter Open. So we're at,
20.
I think we're at 20. Yeah, we're at 20 right now.
You're
I
at
think you
20
want to have
including
24.
Oh,
20
oh.
including the 2.
Yeah, we get a
you from the invitational.
guaranteed 3 just for making it to the Winter Open.
Oh, is what I'm looking at with the other ones too?
Yeah.
Is that why Gen G is
Yeah.
36?
I'll link it
I
in
was
the
like,
chat.
Yeah,
26.
Gen G is
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay.
26.
So they qualified for
including
every
the 2.
regional, I guess, already next?
They
Is that
qualified
why?
all the way to the Winter
Yeah, they'll-
Invitational.
Yep.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Wait, why
Yeah.
doesn't it show that they're qualified for Winter Cup?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I mean, we were talking just before we went live about the Mickey Swiss runs, boys. Chicago, do we have a secret Swiss strat that we need to go? Because clearly you guys going 2-0 isn't the recipe to get out of Swiss.
I think going 2-0 is definitely my preferred choice. I mean, at the end of like, I mean, what happened like last regional, was so like we honestly the series we kind of threw or like we felt like we should have had was the Furia one, our 2-0, and then after that, I think SSG and Gen G was just chalked, and then SSG was, they just got out 2-0 and we couldn't like, I mean, we brought it to 5, but we weren't really playing too great, but so we should have like won first and foremost. So I don't think that was the format's problem, but I saw like, obviously I was pretty depressed, so I literally got off Twitter for like 8 hours, or it might have been like for the whole day. And then I come back and I see everyone on my timeline arguing about the format, whether it's good or bad. And it was just because like, you know, some teams got easier runs than others. And like, I definitely think we should have won we had to win one of our matches. Like there's no excuse, but I definitely think that there is some like strategy plus luck if you lose a series in the first round to help your Swiss run. That's what I've seen so far. So maybe we'll try it tomorrow. If we lose, that's our copium.
Is it lose round 1, or is it win and then lose and then win 2?
No, I think it's lose round 1. Because if you lose round 1, you play like a team that went 0-1 also. So it's a quote unquote, obviously not like it's a quote unquote easier team. But then if say you win that, then you play a team from the 1-0 match that just caught a loss. So they're coming from the loss like momentum, and you're going on a win. So then if you could be playing a team that's a little bit down where you're on the come up. So then if you win that, you'd be 2-1. Then you're up 2-1. I actually do think there's the one thing I hate about Swiss is as much as like there's random matches, I do really hate the playing a team when they're coming off a win versus a team coming off a loss. I feel like it's two way different like points of just like the mentalities are way different from each team. I think that's a big part of Swiss.
I agree. You definitely have to be able to regain right away. Because you're gonna get like thrown in the gauntlet. Like if we would have lost to you guys, we would have been thrown in the gauntlet too, to probably playing like a Gen G or something.
Yeah, I
That's
mean, like
tough.
I don't know. I think it's like I think we're pretty good at that, and most teams are pretty good at that. But the fact that we lost 2 game 5s, I think is what just absolutely destroyed our mental versus Gen G, and we couldn't like regain. But I mean, again, I don't really think there's much of an excuse because we should have won one of those matches. They're all winnable, or we should have won at least one of them.
So do you think that playing someone off, like if you lose, playing someone who's won is like more of an advantage, or you'd prefer to change that rather than what everyone's sort of saying is like get rid of the game diff, like tiebreakers, and go back to like initial seed the whole way through?
Well, initial seed would be kind of boring, wouldn't it? Because you just like kind of get the easiest teams possible. So then Swiss wouldn't be very entertaining.
That's like, just how a Swiss is, though. I mean, it's seeded from the beginning. Your whole group is just seeded. Or not a Swiss, like the next one or whatever. Like you already know.
The 4 groups.
It'd still be a little bit of randomness because someone can like upset someone else and then that changes who you play. But I don't. I think if they do game differential, it'll always feel random because like you'll get punished for someone else losing an extra game they shouldn't have.
I mean, I look at it like this too. Like they base it off initial seed to begin with. Like game differential doesn't really mean anything. A W's a W. If you win, like it doesn't matter. Shouldn't really affect you. Shouldn't change the way or change the team you play.
Yeah, I think a 3-2.
Play a team that trolls or whatever.
You shouldn't be punished for going 3-2. Like, in my opinion, I think it should just be W or loss. Like, I don't like that at all. Personally.
So don't even keep track of game diff or game.
I'd have to see it happen once because it might be dumb, but it just feels like random at the moment to me. Because like I said, you just get like you can go 3-0, and then if a really good team has an off start and go 3-2, like you might just play them for like right after because they just decided or like didn't start off well. I feel like that's just not.
It reminds me of Worlds where we like everyone went 4-0 and we went 4-2 at the club and we had to play V1 the next round. It's just like what?
Yeah,
we're like top seeds.
Yeah,
I mean that's how like upsets happen, or like a team that should quote unquote make it won't end up making it just because of game diff.
Like I always see this argument, quality of win matters, but like I don't think you going 3-2 means it was a bad win. Like someone can just be playing well. It doesn't mean you played bad. I don't think. Like, I agree. There's been teams who are like not playing great and 3-0 another team. It's just a bad series. Like I don't know. I just don't like it personally. Like I don't think it just doesn't make. It's not a good argument to me.
I mean, is Swiss just like a non-superior format then?
Well, I usually like Swiss. I just think it has. Like any format could have fixes, stuff to make it better. Or like, there's also stuff that I like. For example, I think it happened to FaZe the first regional, and us the second one. When you're doing like Friday team streams where it's not that like not a super big broadcast, it's just kind of tracking around like NFL Red Zone. We should not be streamed 4 times in a row all of our matches.
Oh like, yeah, that sucks.
That was a mistake.
they streamed all of our rounds from 2 through 5, and like I understand like maybe we have the best matchup like through 2 out of the 4, but like it's a day 1 of a qual. Like show streams or show teams that don't get the opportunity to show it all the time, and like you don't always have to show the most popular team because it isn't that big of a deal of a broadcast. Just I happened with FaZe I know 3 times and for us 4 times. It just also makes it so much more like delayed too. We can't start at the same time everyone else is because we have to wait for all the RLCS people to get in and all the breaks they take, and it makes it even more tilting because like okay we lost and now we gotta wait again and sulk on it because we're getting put on the mainstream again and then again and then again, and that tilted us a lot because
Is that
like,
a new
we know
thing this season? Because like I thought it wasn't like the mainstream last season, just kind of like a
Yeah.
actual red zone where they
Yeah,
just
it was.
tuned into the team streams.
yeah
Like this season, what they were actually hosting and joining your lobbies.
yeah
Yeah, I got to
Like-
cast a couple of. Maybe I'm your
Yeah.
bad luck charm. To be
No,
honest, now
I
I'm
was
thinking about it.
that. I was thinking that. I think we have good luck charms and we have bad luck charms, but hopefully it's not true and maybe it was just an off day for the boys.
0-2. I think the mistake was doing was it round 3? Was it that G2 Furia? That was, yeah, G2.
Yeah.
That was a mistake because they just streamed, I think, the Furia game before.
No,
Wait, did they?
streamed us versus V1 in the second round? The first round was Furia Energy, I
Yeah,
think.
so they'd already done you and Furia in round 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And then they went again. That was a mistake.
then-
I think round 4 and 5 wasn't too
Who was
bad.
the other 2-0 match? I think it was like
FaZe and
FaZe Shopify? No.
FaZe and
Complexity.
Complexity.
That was a bit.
The two.
alright.
But they
I don't like
did-
the Friday
They did us in
streams.
G2.
Which ones? The mainstream or the team streams?
I don't know.
Or
Like when
both?
I try to watch EU, like I feel like I miss everything that happens.
I hate
Like,
watching
it's
the mainstream
impossible.
when it comes to EU. I'd much rather just watch
Yeah.
like a Johnny Boys show, like a watch party, or just like
Yeah, I only watch watch parties
the
because like
teams.
if you watch the mainstream, you just don't know what's happening. I feel like the whole time, besides the match on stream. And then with this format, it feels like the most important part of the tournament. Like I just missed everything that happened, unless I have like a million tabs open. I missed like all the most entertaining parts. I don't know. I feel like in RLCS X it wasn't like that. I don't remember what they did, but like I felt like I could watch the mainstream and know mostly everything
Wasn't it-
that happened, kind of. But I don't.
I think
remember.
it was just treated like a red zone for
Was
X
it?
and last season, wasn't it? Wasn't it like they brought on like 2-3 people? It was like Stacks and Daz or
I
something
think it
like
was
that,
like F dot or something.
or like someone in like Jorby, like I don't remember exactly who, but wasn't it just like them treating all the team streams as a red zone broadcast?
I think so. Yeah. So they didn't do just the one. Like I was watching EU, and then I would hear like in between games Leaf give an update, but I don't know. I feel like you missed so many matches. It's like all the most entertaining stuff. Like you have to like be on Liquipedia to find out, and then I have to
Yeah.
go watch a million VODs.
If I watch
then,
EU
I don't know.
like Swiss, I notice myself probably watching like the games as much as I'm like looking at the Liquipedia page. I'm probably switching the Liquipedia page probably like every 2 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Just because you like there's so many matches that are going on, you just want to see the game score, and you can't like just watch one stream and get all that. So that's why like streaming one game isn't very good. I like the red zone idea.
Okay, DX is saying it, the red zone streams, like the main streams, are only for the grid. Did they just not have an official broadcast on Fridays?
I'm pretty sure they did it for last season, but
They-
this season they're actually following 2 teams specifically.
They did it last year. I remember because
Yeah, I
I was
remember
watching
it too.
EU, like Stumpy was like they were jumping in and out. People are asking what is the red zone, by the way. I mean, it might just be like an NA term, but it's basically like you can see a screen that's got like all the different streams, and then they're just hopping in and out of different streams, depending on like what series is on Game 5 or the most exciting series. Whereas right now they literally see the round that's coming up and be like, okay, this game's sick. Let's have this on the main broadcast, and then it's literally like a regular series where you get the casters and stuff for the whole series. And then Leaf, like Garrett said, is like in between matches. Leaf's like, hey guys, like X team is about to get swept. Like Gen G are about to lose to I don't know, someone, and then that sort of stuff. But you don't get, as you said, you don't get that like full idea of what's going on because you don't like see it But I don't know.
Yeah.
There's probably pros and cons.
I don't know what they do, like the solution is, but for some reason when I like go to a team stream, like I think it's great for the orgs, obviously. Like I know they love being on the stream, but it doesn't feel like RLCS for some reason when I'm watching. Like it feels weird. Like RLCS to me, when I'm not playing, it feels like it doesn't start till Saturday, and then but then most of the most important things have already happened. Kind of, I don't know. It just feels weird. Like it's a weird watching experience to me now. Like it feels really odd. And then the days are so short. I feel like I miss it. Like unless I'm there from the beginning. Like I just you instantly miss it if you're not. I don't know.
I mean, do you think it's kind of like? I can honestly see a few reasons why you might feel like that. Like you're loaded with a 5-game Swiss into 1 game Saturday, 2 games Sunday, if you go all the way, and go all 5 on Swiss, which is kind of like I mean, back in the day we used to play 1 or 2 matches in league play on Saturdays.
Yeah.
So that might be you're feeling oh, your 1 game today is your big, that's your big moment. Like that's your half an hour long that you actually have to be focused up and be ready. Whereas Swiss, it's endurance maybe doesn't feel as intense because matches mean a little bit less. At least they seem to sometimes.
Are you talking about from the perspective of playing or watching? Because playing and watching to me are 2 different things right now.
Are you talking about it doesn't feel like RLCS as a viewer right now?
I was talking about when I watch EU, because when I play, I don't really watch. I guess playing right now, it feels like if you make it past a Friday, there's a lot of pressure relieved because of the way they cut the broadcast times. Like even in Double Limb, it was if you made it to Saturday, it's okay, now I just have to win once or twice, and I'm top 4. But the Friday has the most pressure to me now, by far, because there's so much in that one day. I don't think back then. I remember the first time we did the Double M format, you couldn't be eliminated the first day. There was no way. If you lost the first day, it went to the next day. But now it's they go all the way down the top 8 in one day. It feels super fast, and then all of a sudden it slows down a lot because every single match almost is on stream. It's just weird. It's weird. I don't know. It feels really odd to me.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I feel like Rocket League is that day by day game too. So if you just don't show up that one day, like Friday for instance, it's brutal for you. That's the one thing I did about Worlds, and we talked about in previous shows was we had a Swiss, but you only played 1 match a day up until the very last day. You played maybe 1 or 2. So I don't know, it's tough because if you're not, I said, if you're not playing well and you're playing 5 series in a row, 5 hours straight, that's pretty brutal on the mental.
What if they did? Would you guys be? I know right now we do 1 weekend on, 1 weekend off for main event. Would you guys rather have a Swiss on to 1 weekend and then the next week's just top 8 main event? So,
I think they just
spread it out.
I think they just could add a Thursday maybe.
Yeah, I think a Thursday would be perfect.
Instead of, because I said, to me, even watching it, it feels rushed because if I don't pay attention Friday, it's okay, half the teams are gone. I don't even know what happened. And you had in order to be a Rocket League fan, you really have to. I can't imagine keeping up with on my phone. I don't know how I would know what's going on if I was only a mobile viewer. If I don't have Locopedia open, I don't know what's happening.
I think Sonics has a fear, not a fear, that's probably a too bold word, but I feel like they restrain themselves for online events to only making it weekends because they think the viewer base might not be there if it's during the week, but they've never ran an event that's been online any other day besides Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Have we never had a Thursday?
I thought we did.
I thought we had a day
not
0
last
Thursday.
Season, but
we had a Thursday. We had a Thursday.
Season X, right?
You're
just. Yeah, because Season X was they did a Group A and a Group B of Swiss when they had 32 teams.
That's right.
No, wait, what?
Yeah,
They
yeah.
They did 4-day. They did 4-day regionals, and some of the regionals were 2 Saturday Sundays, and some were Thursday to Sunday, right?
Yep.
I thought when they had 32 teams in Swiss, it was 2 weekends.
Yeah, some of them were. There were some of them. No, exactly how Garrett said. There were 3 regionals, and I think one of them was a 4-day, and 2 of them were 2 days.
Yeah, the 4-day was qualifiers, and then all the top teams just played on the Sunday, to get to main event the next weekend.
Well, there was one weekend where the whole tournament was Thursday to Sunday. I remember. I think it was I think it was schedule restrictions or something. But
the only Thursday I ever remembered was because of one day the servers weren't up. So they couldn't start league play, so they had to do a reschedule.
Oh, way back! I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that. That was weird.
But that was
Yeah,
the
we
only
didn't-
like day I've ever played RLCS on a weekday.
That was season
except for
9,
grid,
right?
but I don't count grid.
Yeah, it was season 9. We got lost
We got
to super
smoked.
hard on that. Holy.
Like back to your viewership point though, even like Chrome, the SSG complexity tiebreaker was on like a Tuesday night or something. I think the viewership was ridiculous on that for like one series. Like every man and their dog was tuning in. So,
The amount of stress on that series was brutal too. It was not fun.
that's why
That
I
was
wanted.
actually one of the
recommend anyone
most
go do
wild
that.
times in Rocket
Yeah,
League.
that's why I want the tiebreaker to not. I feel like I know Chrome, you like the tiebreaker straight afterwards, but I feel like it like makes it less impactful. Like let's just run it back afterwards and sort out who's making it. I'd rather it be like, boys, we're reassembling the troops on a Wednesday night. Like
It'd definitely be more
Gladiator.
hype that way.
Yeah.
Because you have a.
But that's what I was saying. As a player, I'd rather just get it over with.
No, as a
That
player,
day.
it's probably like the most mentally like stressful and like draining thing ever. But as a viewer, like, because we made it at that time, and SSG Cole was playing, and that was the most hyped I've been for a match probably since like, I don't know, season 5 Worlds or something, because it's just one match, do or die for the first land back. And it was like 2 good teams that were like there to prove something. Oh my god, it was.
I feel like
Everyone was getting each other hyped on Twitter. It was like, I literally like pretty sure I was in a call. I was like, I couldn't imagine being like these players right now. I would hate my life. But
Weren't
it
we
was so
scrimming?
entertaining.
It was like such the worst Rocket League
I'm
ever
pretty
played
sure-
too, because everyone was so nervous.
I'm pretty sure we warmed up one of the teams, and then like our next scrim like got put on pause because like we wanted to
we
watch
might have
so
like
bad.
warmed up SSG or Complexity that day, or
Because I remember we were like, I felt like so many eyes were on that tiebreaker. Like it was this hype. It was the hypest thing I've ever like seen, honestly. On
Yeah, it was so hype.
So you'd rather have it what? As a player, you'd rather just get over and done with. Even what if you're having an off day, Garrett? Like, what if you guys not an off day, but what if you just had an opportunity, like you just played a series to like win it and you're in, and then you've got to like reset in like 30 minutes time to go again.
Honestly, if we make Sunday, I think we'll just be confident anyway. So
yeah,
like because that's what happened to us for C1. We played terrible for C1, but I don't think like it's not like losing on a Friday and then having to play again compared to like if it was on a Friday, like it's losing deep into the bracket doesn't feel as bad as like not making it out of Swiss to me. Like I don't think it would be that huge of a deal. But yeah, it would suck if you're sucking, but I also can just suck on the Wednesday too. So, I mean,
I think honestly as a player, even if you suck on that Sunday, it would probably still be a better performance than all the stress you would go through knowing like this Wednesday you're going to have to play that tiebreaker, because you would probably just like every day would just build up stress and just make you play so much worse than if you just like didn't have that much time to think about it. And it was just like you're about to play another match. Like you can't overthink it like you can if you have 3 days to wait for it.
Yeah, I don't know. I just, yeah, as I said, as a viewer, like I just think having a separate day would be sick. But I think as well, like logistically, like what they were sort of discussing is, you know, they need to get like the whole production team again, because I think like First Touch ran it last year, the Space Station Complexity one, but I don't think that was possible this year. So they'd have to get like all the DreamHack production and stuff all back for a separate day. So I think it's easier to just everyone just stay late. Which what's the likelihood of a tiebreaker? Like, are we gonna get like 2 teams, 3 teams?
If I'm gonna be honest, I don't think there's gonna be a tiebreaker.
I don't think so either.
Really?
I think SSG just probably straight up qualifies. I think it's just an absolute brawl for the 5th spot.
The only
Sadly.
likely one is if we both make top 4 on opposite sides.
And
I think that's
SSG
the only
like lost top 8 or something.
If we get top 8 and like lose to like a Furia and they make it all the way to the grand finals, we play them for a tiebreaker. Pretty sure.
Wait, if they lose the finals though?
They lose the finals, yeah. Like they could beat us in the quarters and then beat whoever in the semis and then make it to the grand finals, lose. Then we play them on after the grand finals.
I think so much stuff just has to happen.
Yeah.
It'd be so lit if it was G2 NRG in a semis and SSG was already top 4.
That's the only one I
think
see
that's
happening.
more likely.
Involving
like how,
us, that's the only one I see happening. Us and G2 top 4.
Like last season, Envy and I think SSG played each other. It was in the quarters, but it was basically a spot for the major.
Yeah. Oh god, remind me, Game 7.
Yeah. that's what I would see being more likely rather than like an actual tiebreaker, like just a straight up team playing each other like Optic or Cole or us or Energy just like ended up playing each other straight up for a spot.
D-Rex says in chat, like the odds of tiebreakers for major are much higher this season because of the new point system. Why are they? I thought like we were talking about it before. I thought the point system was the same apart from first getting more. Like Gibbs, I was talking to Gibbs and he said the likelihood should be like the same as last season because the spread is still the same, like the gap in between each placement. I know like the format caters more to tiebreakers because you've got like a 5th to 8th where they're all getting the same points and a 3rd, 4th and stuff. But I didn't think this new season like caters to it more. I think it's just what happened. Like we still had a tiebreaker last season, Space Station Complexity.
Maybe it's just Swiss itself. I don't think the point system is different enough to.
It feels like top 4 doesn't get that much more points compared to like a top 8. It seems. It's like, if I remember correctly, we got when we play Complexity, we got top 4 once. They got top 4 once, and we both got top 8. I don't know. If that's just because of like just a disparity of like teams back then compared to now.
Oh, okay. So Yummy's saying that previously the difference between 5th to 9th wasn't exactly one placement. So if you made top 8 out of Swiss, there was a bigger jump, I guess, into the top 8. But now it's 3 points, which is like the gap between all the other placements. Okay. So
Yeah, that makes sense. 'Cause I remember FaZe got one. They won, and then they didn't make top 8 one time, and they were like already 3rd because of that. And now it's like I think if you did that, you'd still be like top 2. I think.
Yeah, last season they had to like.
Points.
Last season they had to like, so they got out and they still had to focus up. Where FaZe this season they just got one win and they're cruising. I mean they made another top 8, but even if they got 9th through 12th in the second regional, they still would have been cruising the split.
Yeah.
Where last season they actually had to like hunker down, and in that third regional they had to like actually focus and not troll like they did in the second one.
You tiebreak? Nah, there's no tiebreakers for placements. I think it's just the most recent result. If they're tied for like seeding, is that right? There's no tiebreaker for seeding. For
Yeah,
the major.
they have like tiebreakers that aren't based on.
Yeah, you don't play
like,
each
an
other.
Actual
Though.
series. Yeah, you don't have to play each other. There's like rule book tiebreakers.
I think it's just most
like
recent
like
result.
head to head or like most recent result or something like that.
I mean, yeah.
Whereas for actual qualification, you do have to play a match.
I feel like we didn't skip over it. I want to get back to like the Swiss thing because you guys were saying, well, Chicago, you said before we went live, like Swiss for you is like way more stressful than the top 8. But in terms of a viewer, like Garrett said, it's kind of like, the Friday, whatever happens. Oh, then you wake up Saturday, wait, my team's not there because like you don't really see all the events. Do you feel like that's a problem? Because me, like the Swiss is actually the most exciting, especially this tournament. Like you make top 8 and it's kind of like a bit more cruisy.
Well, that's all the formats though, because now like the way they do the broadcast is even in all 3 formats. There's only 8 teams left after Friday. So like if you don't know how to watch the team streams, like you just miss a lot of matches. But that's not. Sorry, I kind of changed the subject a little bit. But regardless, you miss half the teams are gone after the first day, even in Double M. And the winter format, I think. Pretty sure. But that's how they did the lands, I think.
Do we need like a format then that like we don't just have top 8, we have like a top, I don't know. Single
What was it like last season? Was it the same thing as now?
That's what I don't know.
Yeah, it
was.
was.
Was it? Because I honestly was like before this even started, I was like so surprised and it felt so like weird, but I guess it was the same. But I felt so weird. I was like, oh wow, only top 8 play Saturday.
It was the same, but I think because there was only like 5 good teams, like we didn't worry about it.
Yeah.
Really? Like
no team missed.
Championship Sunday had a best of set in grand finals.
That is true.
That was long
that makes Sunday last fall split so much longer. Having 3 like. How did we go to like a lot of 3 sets in our fall split?
I think they went 3. Did FaZe Energy go?
Yeah, we went to 3.
Yeah, I think
we went to 3 with you guys.
Yeah, we went to 3
of NB. The 21 games, I think it was.
Yeah. All 3 regionals were to 3.
Yeah, I honestly like the best of set, but it's too long, sadly. But I actually like playing it.
But I think it balances out like
the
You
lack
think
of a
about the
tournament.
regionals now; it's so front loaded with Friday having however many matches. Whereas you add on like a best of set on the Sunday, and like at least as a viewer, you have more matches last season than you do.
Yeah, it could have been great for the major. Like if we won that second one versus BDS and it went to a third one, that would have been fine at a LAN. But yeah, online it felt weird for sure.
Actually, one thing I think we haven't said, but I don't know, it's tough. I think it's like a super like opinion based view on Swiss, but I think they do it in CS. But also make the day insanely long. So this is where you could do like a Thursday, Friday. But if you are on the verge of like an elimination match or a qualification match, it should be best of 7 and not best of 5, in my opinion.
I agree. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But like that would make days insanely brutal. So that's why you need a 2-day. Yeah, CS. If you're on your qualifying match or your elimination like life, you get a best of 3.
I thought about. Oh, sorry, go.
Okay, I was gonna say, do you think like? Oh, I lost it.
Do you think that's CS? I was gonna say CS is best of 1. Which is that really a best of 5 equivalent in Rocket League, or is that a best of 3? I feel like that's like a best of 3 going into a best of 5 for qualification games.
Well, I mean, I feel like it's hard to compare because CS is like actually,
so much downtime.
Yeah, there's so much more. Like a best of 5 in Rocket. I feel like best of 3 or best of 5 is the new best of 3 in Rocket League. Like it's just Rocket League so even, or like it's so randomized now. And the level it's at, where you can just lose a game off of like, honestly, RNG. Like obviously the better team should win, but the same thing can happen in CS in like a random map where you could lose a couple unlucky clutches or just some random stuff, and then boom, your best of 5's over. Like a best of 5 does not. It is like that's what the stat I hated that they kept bringing up at Worlds was like, oh, the teams that go on match point first are 53-1 right now. So according to this, Furia should win. But like a best of 5 does not determine the better team, like ever, all the time. It's so just misleading. I think best of 7, you will always find the better team.
Well, I mean, yeah, like especially like that stat at Worlds, but it was debunked by one match. Like that Gibbs had.
You mean the stat, like the best of 5
Yeah.
stat?
Like just having one team that lost the best of 5 but then won the best of 7 just completely validates best of 7 as a format. Like completely.
Isn't there always going to be like an outlier though, no matter what? Who did break the curse? I was Furia.
The problem with the curses or that stat that they also kept bringing up was probably like majority of the matches were from Swiss, where like 90% of the teams that got on match point first were just absolute domination. Like V1 versus like the SSA team. Like obviously once they go up 3-0, the SSA team isn't making a comeback. And there's always matches like that in Swiss, especially with like the wild card, where teams they're just usually annihilations in wild card. There's very few close series, I felt like. So that was like lopsided.
Someone in chat made a comment like if you add in best of 7s, then people's game diffs are gonna get weird. I think they should figure out how to drop game diff in Swiss and add in like I actually really like the idea of adding best of 7 for qual or elim matches.
What I was gonna say before is the only thing that would be weird is if like you go up 2-0 and then you play 3 best of 7s.
Yeah, that's what you'd have to do it on 2. You would have to do it on 2 different days, 100%.
Yeah.
You might have to do round 4 and round 5 on like Friday or something.
Make it so no one gets eliminated or qualifies on the first day. So you play the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, I mean honestly, I feel like that'd be deep. Like that's would definitely you'd have to do it that way because, like I don't think if you're gonna go 0-3, so you play 2 best of 5s. I don't think playing the best of 7 is like crazy, like hard. Where if you went 2-0 and then had to play 3 best of 7s on one day, that's unfair to that team. But playing 1 best of 7 and then if you lose that, you're 0-3 on the day. I don't think that's very unfair.
What if they do? So let's say we go Thursday, Friday for Swiss, and then they play the first 2 rounds and then the 2-0 matches. So we can have a team. If you go 3-0 in Swiss, you can go 3-0 on the Thursday and get Friday off. That's sort of what we did at Worlds. Oh, not Worlds. Was it Worlds? We did at some events where you had like the gap. They had the day off.
This sounds familiar.
Sweden was like that.
Oh.
Yeah, Sweden
was like that.
Was RLCS like that? Because it sounds familiar. Like I remember wanting to win so I could have a day off. Like I swear that was a thing.
So
Maybe,
I
like
think
those
it
2-day
was.
events or those 4-day
yeah,
events.
it
that
was
they
the
were talking
4-day
about?
events.
I think
I
that was
dropped the
it.
link by the way in chat. Like that, it entirely was like that in RLCSX fall
Yeah.
split. And they had 2 events that were split over 2 weekends and 1 event that was Thursday through Sunday. So if
Yeah.
you were Group A in the 32 round Swiss, then you just like you get a whole day off.
Yeah, I feel
'Cause
like
you
that's
don't play
pretty
on Friday.
rewarding and fair.
I still think the best format would have been last winter with a 12-team double elimination. That was what I tried to like pitch to Sonics, and that's what I would have liked the best from that format. I think that would have been the best person. Or no, sorry, from the groups, 2 teams go to winners and not 1 from a last winners format. That's what I would have liked the best, personally.
I'm curious, though, going back to like the best of sets and like even like a bracket reset, Garrett, for you, like when you guys lost that first set against BDS, how long was your break?
They actually gave us a choice. They were like, they told us whenever we were ready, and then I think like we went to the restroom and we were like, all right, let's just play because we're just kind of sitting here. Because it's like it was kind of a weird event with no crowd and stuff. It wasn't like obviously it was stressful as a final, but it wasn't like compared to other lands. It didn't feel like we needed a big break, but they just told us to take as much time as we needed, I guess, up to like a half hour probably. But
Yeah, and then like Chicago was like what 10 minutes for you guys when you guys dropped that first series to Queso, right?
Yeah, it wasn't that long, but I don't think we minded because we actually felt like we were playing well towards the end of it. So we're like, okay, let's get us back out there. Like we know what we need to do. But again, like for other team, I think that could be way different. But I think ours was like 15 minutes probably.
Do we ever go over that moment, Chicago? Can we go back to that game 7, the first series? Talk us through the comm issue that happened there. What actually happened in that moment? For those that don't know what we're talking about, it's a Queso E2 moment where there was just an open net randomly with about whatever seconds. Can you go through the moment? Have you ever explained this to the people?
I think I have, but like it's been like 6 months. I mean, yeah, I mean it was like completely my fault. I just called like Atomic to fake and I bullshit everyone. And I just didn't go for the ball. So he left it and I was like, and then I like just didn't go, even though I called it. So I fucked up, but we won, so it doesn't matter. But I 100%, I said it, and
Did you get baited?
We would have lost that. By who?
By Atomic, like thinking he was going to still hit it.
Yeah, but that's just like Atomic, like because he like. If I call it, like he'll make it as believable as possible. So maybe I got faked like internally. I don't even remember.
Such a good. You got faked.
I like because like I wiped it from the memory, so I don't even remember it. But like I said, if we would have lost that grand final, I probably would have retired from.
So it was one of those times where you said a calm, but it like I'm sure you were probably second guessing yourself. You were like,
yeah.
Well, it's one of those times where like Atomic
it was like
probably
it was such a
like overridden it, right? Like he probably could have.
No,
and
then
he probably
ball.
just. Yeah,
it was like a terrible play for me. Yeah, I think it was like it was some terrible G2 like PTSD where like just go for the stupidest play possible and like, you know, let the other team walk the dog from across the field. And I just called for a ball that clearly wasn't mine, and it was a bad play, and I screwed up. But I honestly can't. I don't even remember it, like the situation, because I wiped it from my memory so fast. I still haven't watched the game 7 from that series like to this day, and I won't.
I can just imagine the vibes after that in my head. Just like I could hear you being like, "Oh, I trolled."
Yeah, we always like joke around because like, I mean, it's just completely jokes. But we always like, I think we listened to the comms back or something one day. J-Dub's like heavy side. And we're always like, J-Dub, you're so fucking toxic, bro. Why are you so toxic? Because like, and then me and Atomic like both did the like in the moment. Obviously, I completely fucked up. But he was like, Atomic was like, oh, I could have like, fuck, I should have done something better. I was like, and then I probably was like, oh, I just fucked up. Or I don't even remember, but I like didn't take the blame I should have in the moment.
You turned it around on him. Yeah, you should have just
taken
it.
I definitely said like I fucked up, but I like didn't take full blame like I should have. But we always joked around saying like, because J-Nub's just heavy side in the background, and we're like, God, J-Nub, you're so toxic, bro. Like we still got this, bro. And it was just because he was like, we always joke around because he hadn't won in a long time. a LAN. And he was probably like thinking like after that moment, he was like, "Oh my god, my teammates are so dog shit. They just threw this for me." No, but we won, so it was fine.
Was that like the only time JNS like ever like heavy side your team? I feel like I heard that somewhere.
He would do it to himself. Like if ever he got disappointed like that, it'd normally be about himself.
Yeah, I mean, no, I mean JNAPS isn't like JNAPS is like always the same, like always. That's like the good part.
I heard too.
I think like when you're in the moment, I honestly, unless it's like super obvious, but for us, like no one's like obviously toxic, but like a lot of times you could heavy sigh, but it could be because you fucked up, but it ends up being like, so say I fucked up, like, and I missed a shot, and then it ended up, we ended up conceding. Like a heavy side could come out that wasn't meant for like the goal given up, but it was like, oh my god, like in your own head, you're like, I fucking should have scored that, and this game would be over.
Sounds like you're mad at your team, and you're not. You're mad at yourself.
Yeah, that happens.
So like, I think that happens a good amount, but I honestly, in the comms, I don't really notice it because I'm just like probably more depressed than like listening to other people. But
you know who used to heavy sigh a lot?
Kronovi?
No, you.
Oh,
it's in season 8.
Dude, I don't even remember that season. That's I think me and JF talking about that, but that season was like we don't even remember that. I think we were so bad.
There was a lot of frustration that season.
Yeah,
a lot of heavy sighs around the team.
I feel like
I remember
you were really frustrated.
That was.
I feel like the heavy side, saying like, no, I'm just angry at myself. Sometimes is like the biggest like copium as well. When you're actually just pissed off at your teammate, and you're just like, oh no, I'm just like really competitive, man. That's on me. I'm just not playing well. But like really, you're just pissed off at your teammates of how they're playing.
I think that's true for like other teams, but I feel like on G2, this may be a little CNC, but I feel like we were always pretty good at actually like, talking.
CNC, yeah, that is.
Well,
so like we might have heavy size, but even if it was like something about another player, we'd like probably bring it up or talk about it. It was never any like animosity or anything like that.
Yeah, here's like I think one thing that like, I mean, at least like my team experience, I've been with G2 for like basically my only team, them and EG. But like I've heard other stories. But with us, if I probably did something toxic at some point, I would, maybe like a couple days later, I would like talk to the team and like basically I'd apologize and be like, you know what, I fucked up, and like we would talk it through. But I think other teams, especially in Europe, when you have language barriers, it's probably tough to talk it through, especially or like just talk in general because the language barrier is so strong. So, I think everyone like we would all fuck up at a point, but we'd always be able to talk it through and just be like, you know what, it happens. We're all on the same page. We all want to win. Like, let's just figure it out. You move on, and we just become better from it. But I definitely think like we've all had moments where we fucked up and we've just been like, I shouldn't have done that. But let's just work on it and get better.
You said you didn't you haven't watched it back. Garrett, do you watch often back like VODs and stuff, or are you someone as well as like, no, I can't, like I get frustrated with like watching your own gameplay?
Not comms that much. Like watch like what you were saying, watching back when they lost, but like we watch back the VODs a lot. Yeah, like I watched back the V1 one after like a day after we lost and stuff, but not comms because honestly I just only listen to myself. But so I just let the coach talk about the comms. But yeah, I mean I think me and I don't think Justin really watches a lot, but me and Squishy usually like watch back a lot of stuff on our own and then talk about it after. I feel like we do that the most. Like we don't, as a team, we don't do it together as much. But it's usually like me and Squishy, and then we'll talk about whatever we think. But not the comms. I can't listen to myself talk, or it's cringe to me. I can't listen to it.
I feel like a lot of people like that. Shout out as well, Johnny Boy, for the raid as well. What an absolute legend. Hopefully Reddles won his 1v1. Did chat confirm? How's he going?
Oh, was Reddles the second 1v1 of the night?
I think he was.
I saw there's a TRK versus
Toxic or something maybe. Thanks, Johnny. Can we need to thanks John JON as well? Spell his name wrong, please. Well, 3-2 for Toxic. Unlucky. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it is a good thing, I guess, to listen back comms. Chrome, you'd have to listen back to comms and stuff, wouldn't you? To see what's going on.
Yeah, because sometimes you don't know, like if we could see a goal, you don't know if it's because of comms or if breakdown in rotation or what happened or someone made a bad call and you have to kind of like talk it out as a team. Like for instance, like when we lose to like a Gen G, like it's tough, but then we come back like a couple days later and like really want to like deep dive and watch like what went wrong and like our thoughts and like going forward, just trying to be on the same page because you kind of have to as a team just to rebound after like a tough loss, get the morale going back again.
The morale going for the board. How are the boys feeling on your side of things coming into this weekend? You're in the best spot out of those that are still in the running, I guess.
We're pretty good. Little trolly here and there, but good vibes. You know, we have our play style, our game plan that we want to go forward with, and we're feeling confident.
Boys, does everyone here think that SSG is just in, or do you think there could be a fourth spot tiebreaker as well?
I think they're just in.
I think they're in.
I think if we need a tough gauntlet, then I don't know. It could be tough. You never know.
You guys have been consistent, like 3 Swisses in a row and stuff. I feel like they're just in.
I feel like you guys are more consistent than you were last season. Like last season, I felt like your peak was higher, but now your floor is higher.
Yeah.
So like that's why I don't really see like you guys not making it. Where I could see some other teams like not, well, like for example, like Gen G. I would be more surprised if they got like another top 2, I guess, than if SSG got like another top 8 or top 4, whatever it is that they needed. Just because I think SSG is probably one of the more consistent teams in NA right now.
I think it was like Gen G though. Them getting top 2 is because their play style was better than ours for like 2 regionals. It's like Rocket League's that type of game where it's like all play styles.
Yeah, it's
you
like
just gotta figure out teams
nowadays.
Yeah.
How long do you think Gen G lasts? Like playing well. How long? How long until teams like figure them out?
Just from what I see from them and like watching like some of their content or like comms or whatever, like they're just good vibes and like on top of that they're grinding super hard. They're in a different country, like once in a lifetime opportunity. Like I think they're, as long as they keep their vibes up like that, I think they can keep it up. To be honest.
I think Winter Split will be like a huge test for them because like I don't know how well they do on LAN. It could be like 2 opposite sides of the spectrum, but after that first split, it's gonna be they're gonna have a lot more expectations. Where I think they're the underdogs coming into the split, so the vibes and everything like on top of that with the stress just compiles, and if they can keep getting top 2s, then that'd be really impressive. But you also have to remember teams are probably gonna get better after every split, just because you get more playtime against them.
I think with them though, they're really good at like coming back from a loss because they've lost more than us and they've outplaced us both times. And
I think Gen G is
managed
just like
to come back. It's like impressive.
I don't even think like they're weird to me because like they're good. They're obviously good, but I don't scrim them and then scrim like another top 6 team. I'm like, wow, they're like really good, but they perform so well. Like once they get to the bracket, they just both times in a row they've just played super good. But I don't think there's anything like special in terms of how they play or anything. They just have like a solid. I just feel like I'm like playing like a solid EU team kind of, but like a little bit more like
spice.
Yeah, like a little bit more risk taking, but like we've beaten them twice and they beat us really, like they destroyed us regional 1 and stuff, but like I just feel like right now they're like performing on the day kind of.
Yeah.
I think it's just like my team talked about it. It's like their play style in Swiss is just like the same thing, but it's just not perfected. But when the pressure is on in bracket, their play style works wonders.
They just really know how to play together, like, and that's more important than individual skill, in my opinion, in Rocket League. So, but they also have that factor, especially like when they're all grinding and they all, could pop off individually, but they're just, you could tell they just know how to play with each other. There's no really like disagreements or like they just know how to read each other and how to like, cooperate with each other.
I mean, they were literally if we talk about the Swiss, wanting to be best of 5, if it was best of 3, they would have lost to Axel. They had to reverse sweep Axel, and it was like was it OT game 5? Yeah, they had an OT game 4 and 5 in a reverse sweep as well. So they were, 1 game away from getting swept or just losing in general to Axel, and would have gone 1 and 3 in Swiss. And even the Swiss bracket, like V1 and Gen G finished 7th and 8th in Swiss, and then that was your grand final. Like, it's kind of crazy how like fine a line it is right now between winning and losing.
Yeah. Well, that's been always a problem with NA bubble teams, and I think that's the difference with EU teams. NA bubble teams don't like they have a mental block when it comes to like finishing off a series when it comes like to playing against a good team. So I think it happened like that Axel one is not really the biggest like example I'm trying to use, but I used to remember Envy used to always go down, or even NRG like RLCSX. They used to always go down 0-2 to teams that NRG would be like 3-0, 3-1. But like I swear 8 times Sonics 2-0 up Envy. Like Jaws was like, yo, Sonics are up 2-0 versus Envy right now because we'd be like Swiss gods and like couldn't perform in playoffs like Envy or Energy. And I'd be like, oh my god, Envy's gonna lose. This is crazy. Because they just won. And I check and they're like, and I'm watching like Sonics absolutely throw this series. I feel like that always happens. Like this happened with Optic too. 26, what team almost swept Optic? And then Optic had a reverse.
26 Rising, yeah.
Yeah. It's like they just always have that, like they can't finish off the series.
We did that a lot, but I do remember, I feel like Envy did it so much too.
No, it happened.
We would say, like Sis in our comms would say that too. Like he'd be looking at Wikipedia, and then we'd be like, oh nice, like it might like make it a little bit easier, and then they'd win. Anyway, like I remember the same thing happening. But we've done that so many times too. Especially like our very first match. I think that's when it would always happen. Like in the like the winter formats or the fall formats.
I used to call it like the squishy muffins effect or like the Cloud9 aura, because that's what happened to the most. Like Cloud9 like would always be down to match point, but I swear people would just get nervous because it was squishy muffins on the other team, so they like would lose. I
just think like back then too, and they just didn't really think they had a chance, but then because of that they were really confident, and then they're like, oh my god, we can win, and then once that happens, you lost because you actually think there's a chance now, and then you get nervous.
Yeah, that's true.
But
I feel like whenever we were in that spot, like down 0-2, I always like thought like, oh, we're gonna be that team that everybody's talking about right now, or like, oh, they're about to lose, and then we just win. They're like, oh, they won.
You think it's weird how the team that is on match point is more nervous than the team that's facing elimination? Like most of the time in those games, they're like, oh my god, we can win, we can do it.
I mean, it's like do or die, right? It's like you're sending everything. So instead of being nervous, you're kind of just like putting
like, I feel like
there, so.
When you're getting destroyed too and you're down 0-2, you're like, oh man, this is like obviously there's a chance, but you're like in your head like this is shocked. So then you just kind of like a lot of times I feel like we just like at that point we relax, and then I think we've done that a lot. I feel like we've almost reversed like even recently I think we've almost reverse swept teams and then we'll lose game 5. I mean I think that's happened quite a bit. But
once you go down 2-0, like maybe after the first game you're like, maybe we should do this and this, try this. And you're like, you know what? Let's just play. Like, let's just not worry about it because maybe you're overthinking.
Oh,
so
yeah.
The other team's probably like, okay, watch out. They're probably gonna be bumping more. They might come out aggressive. They might want to score first. But the other team just like, you know what? Let's just play. Whatever. If we lose, we move on.
This happened at the winter major where we were playing Endpoint. We had already lost to Furia. We beat Renegades, and then we were playing Endpoint. I think that was the order. And we were down 0-2, and then we come back 2-2. And then in the corner of my eye, I see... no, sorry. For some reason, they made us stay in the same seat. So Renegades was across from us, and you guys were playing Furia.
Yeah.
And then I see you guys celebrating, but I didn't say anything because we were on a roll. Like, we were reverse sweeping, and all of a sudden I hear Sis in the comm say, oh my god, guys, Renegades beat Furia. If we win this, we're back in it. And then everyone got nervous. Everyone got nervous, and then we got destroyed game 5. Sis. I was like, oh my god. And then afterwards, I was like, Sis, don't say that. And he was like, why? I'd want to know. And I'm like, yeah, but we don't want to know. Like, we all definitely got nervous after that. It was so funny. But that was such a funny moment. Because we just thought we were down 0-2, and we were like, oh my, this is chalked. Like, we're gonna like have to play Renegades again for tiebreaker, and then who knows, maybe we'll lose that. Or whatever, and then like we just relaxed and started winning after that because of that. But then the pressure was back on, and then we lost. So, but
it's like it's such a mental. I remember, Garrett. This is gonna be a funny story for you, but when we were in Sweden, in the Swiss Abyss, we were playing in front, or like we were setting up in front of you, and I think it was must have been round 1 or like the first series. You guys were playing a Sam team. Was it Era?
It was their name was Era at the time.
Yeah, and I remember that. I was sitting in front of you guys, and I think it was like after did you lose game 1, or maybe you like won in an OT? It was close.
Yeah, we lost game 1, or we're losing game 2 as well.
I remember Squishy's like, Garrett, bro, they're not that fast. It's Sam. Like, it's fine. They're
Dude.
like they're trash, bro. Stop playing so fast.
Dude, if you go back and watch the game 1, I had like 6 like crazy plays that I just barely missed, and then after that, Squishy was like, "Dude, just relax." And I was like, "Bro, I'm almost peaking." So, because I was like so excited to play, I remember I was like going for like insane plays over and over, and then yeah, it was pretty.
Yeah,
I was pretty nervous that first one for sure.
I remember Squishy was like, "Bro, chill out."
I remember hearing you guys laughing about it. I'm pretty sure.
It's always funny. I was like, man, Garrett must be like peaking right now. Like he's just going for doubles off the wall
Dude.
like, every time.
Bro, I went for like 4 crazy plays after that, and then I was feeling insane. So when Squishy said that in my head, I was like, "Just chill, bro. Like I got it. Like it's fine." And then we ended up winning. But yeah, I remember that.
I mean, it just shows how much like the point I'm getting there is like how much mental like has an impact. As you said, like as soon as a team calls a timeout and you're in front, you're still the back of your mind like, oh my god, something could happen here. Like, you know, they could change everything up right now. When like they're not really changing anything. They're like they just get a timeout and you're like, righto boys, let's just not be bad. And then I don't know.
Is that little Maya?
Yeah, this is Maya.
Let's go.
I
Sorry, go
think
ahead.
like mental in Rocket League is honestly taken over as like the more important mental, or like being like ready in game or playstyle wise is nothing compared to being ready mentally. Because I don't know about for Garrett, but every regional we won last year, or like winter major, or even though we didn't win, we got second at Worlds. I never thought we were gonna do that well. I just was like, oh, I just want to play well and have fun. And then and it's happened this season too. But or Sweden major and London major, and then these regionals, I've just been like I'm expecting myself and my team to like win or do really well, or win. So just because you know, it's the new season, you want to make an impression. Or Sweden was like first land back. We were expected to do well. London, we just won winter. That I put so much stress on myself, and it probably comes out just like because I'm not as enjoyable to be around because I'm just so stressed that my performance goes down, and I just become like a more unhappy human being. So it definitely has happened like so far this split, and that's why tomorrow. I mean, I'm obviously like you want to win, you don't ever want to lose, but if you just stress yourself out, it's just you're just gonna not be fun to be around, as well as your performance just gonna go down the drain. At least for me.
No, that's 100% accurate because I feel like for us, like once we started doing bad, the stress became so bad. Like it's so funny because we'll be in scrims and the vibes sound like we all just absolutely hate each other, and then 5 minutes later we'll go to Discord and like be like laughing. Like I feel like the stress for us in game has become so bad that like it just makes us play worse and worse. Like I genuinely think that like our like you know fall off or whatever, it hasn't been like to me it hasn't felt like a skill problem. It's felt like all mental. Like
problem.
yeah, like I think like going into LA as well and then that going bad, like that stress on us was so bad that I feel like we all just started to not enjoy like any like most of our scrims were serious, but a lot of them back in the day, like when we were doing really well, were just like even if we weren't like we wouldn't win every scrim at all. I don't even think we did crazy in scrims, but every scrim, no matter what, was just like there was an element of like fun to it, like or like we got destroyed. It wasn't a big deal. Like, but then like once we started to fall off a little bit, it became like oh we lost this one scrim, and then I don't. It just felt like everything was so stressful. Like everything was so stressful going into like LA was extremely stressful, and I think we kind of did that to ourselves too with how. Like some of the reactions to how certain people played, but regardless, it just became like there was no fun involved. And then also, I'm not gonna lie, it felt like our fan base getting so big. It was like everywhere I looked, I couldn't look anywhere. I couldn't go on any social media, or I was just getting like we were just getting trashed on everywhere. Couldn't look at Twitch chat. I couldn't go talk on someone else's Twitch chat. I'd open Rise stream at like 4 a.m. and the first comment I saw was about us, like everywhere, and it was just like depressing. Honestly, it was kind of depressing. But no, it definitely, and that's I was like when the Monkey Moon, which obviously he ended up saying it was more about like real life stuff, but like people were trashing on him. Like I saw like some NA like Bubble Pros say that too. Like how are you not happy? You just won Worlds, and it's like when you win Worlds, I feel like, or like when you just do well for a while in general, it's so hard to get back into like the groove of things and it not go immediately as well. Because it feels like happiness wise, you peak, and then a month later, you're already under the stress of like the expectations to win again. So I think that's where their like mindset has come from, where it's like you win worlds and you expect it to be like this end, like oh like happy ending, it's over, but then you have to do it again, and you have to like mentally prepare yourself to do it again, and then it feels like your win has like mentally gone away because you're already stressing out about the next win. I don't know. I feel like that's where like a lot of BDS's mental stuff has come from, but I don't know about their real lives, but
I don't
yeah.
remember who said it, but it's so true. The fact that like the amount of bad you feel after a loss like eclipses like two to three times how good a win feels.
100%. Yeah, I think so as well.
I think it's more like you get it. You like come down from like a win a lot quicker than like you just sit on a loss. Like you sort of sit in the lows a lot more than you like ride the highs. Like the highs are pretty, like as you say, Garrett. Like you win worlds, and then it's like a month off season, but it's not even a month. Like it's like stressful, screaming, getting ready for next season.
You're already scrimming.
You're back to like ground zero, like base floor.
Yeah, it's obviously a great thing. I'm not saying it sucks. Like it's obviously great. Like, but it's so weird to win, and then 15 minutes later, you're just in your hotel room, like, oh well, cool. Like what now? And then like you're trying to figure out what to do next, and then I don't know. And I feel like a lot of pros are so obsessed with just doing well that, like Monkey Moon definitely strikes me as the guy. Like he won, he got home, and he's already thinking of like he's already stressing about playing. I feel like he seems like that type of player where he's not like he's always thinking about the next win. And I don't know. And then also you have to deal with the fact that like a lot of us started playing when we were like 15, and you make so much of your life that it's so hard to lose and then just be okay and everything else. Like for me at least, because it feels like it's been my whole life. So how my career is going, I feel like it affects like all of my relationships, like everything, and it's unhealthy. 100% unhealthy. But it's so hard to disconnect when I have 14,000 hours in a game that I've been playing for 6 years. Like it's just really hard to juggle it, to me at least. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, it's like your job, so it's just so much. And then when you're out of high school, or like for example, if you're taking a gap year from college, it's what you're doing to get you money. And like when you're 15, 16, it's like a side gig. So it's like, oh, this is dope. But once it becomes like, I think like me and Garrett and Monkey and like obviously other pros, it doesn't just like affect us, it affects everyone. But it just becomes such a stress where people don't like realize it. I think like you can just clearly tell, or I can clearly tell my team and myself, like when you could tell after a loss, the vibes in the team, especially like right after, is just it could tell it took like a mental toll on everybody, and it's really hard to get that like the vibes back because now in your own head you're like, what if I don't make Rotterdam? I could be missing out on potential money. Like again, like my family, like they're, especially when I guess you have high expectations on yourself or you've done well in the past, they expect you to make majors, and they're like, when this land gets announced, like, oh cool, you could go to Rotterdam, and then they don't think like, oh, you might not actually go because you're not doing too well, and then it feels sad because you feel like you're letting yourself down and other people down, or it just doesn't feel good. And then I think that's where it's really tough, and like I feel like everyone's learning, it's impossible to master, but just learning how to balance, like, at the end of the day, this is a video game you're playing and you kind of have a dream job. At least that's what I've tried to work on, and like that's what I'm trying to do lately. Just because I know how like miserable I can be after a loss, and just how it can affect other people around me or even myself, just like the mental toll. So I just try to figure it out. Like at the end of the day, you are playing a video game where you get paid a lot of money. So
yeah,
worst comes to worst, it sucks, but you'll move on. It's not the end of your life, and you'll just have to like get better from it. And you don't really have that other choice.
I feel like
that's the sorry, God.
I feel like the biggest thing like that I see so much with like pros coming up, or just any like pro playing right now, is like when you, as you said, when your whole life just becomes Rocket League, and like all your friend group is just like the guys you've met at Rocket League. Like you don't have any outlets. You don't have like, you know, you're not doing something else on the side. Like, I don't know, I could reference like playing a sport or something else, or, you know, you're not like hanging out with IRL friends and stuff like that. Like when your whole life just becomes Rocket League, it then just becomes, if you play bad, like you're a bad person. You know what I mean? Or if I don't win, then because all your mates are also involved in Rocket League, they know your results, they know what's going on. Is like if we lose, then like they're gonna think bad of me, or they're gonna think lesser of me as a person. Whereas like it's so important to have that like network, I guess, to have something outside, because like Chicago losing Rocket League isn't like Reed as a person like being a bad, like you need to have that separation between you playing and how you're going in terms of just your job and like what you're actually doing, like in terms of like your real life. Like there is a disconnect there, but so often like everyone you see with Monkey right now, he's literally just won Worlds and he gets top 8 twice, and he's like, I'm a failure of a human being. I'm so lost. I don't know what's going on, because like he has made his life just Rocket League. And even though he's one of the most successful players and will go down in history, like he still doesn't see him, like he's still not happy. You know what I mean? Because like I feel like his whole life has just become Rocket League, and it's like, yeah, it's I want to say it's like, it's dangerous, but it's unhealthy, like an unhealthy way to live. But like, it's just like what we do as professional players all the time. You just connect yourself to how you are. Like Turbo says, he feels it. Like if you're falling off, or if you're not playing well, or your team's not playing well, then I'm a bad person, and then it affects your real life as well.
And you read all the negativity too online, and people are just throwing daggers at you from every angle, and you're reading it, and you're already in a negative space. It just makes it worse too.
It's like, if someone says, Chicago, you're shit. Like, yeah, you need to like disconnect that between like you as a player and you as a person. But so many people, like, you'll read that online. Like Garrett would have had the last, pretty much ever since LA, I guess. Like
LA,
just constantly, like you're reading constant stuff of like, you're trash, you feel like, and it's just there's so many insults getting thrown that you can't like differentiate that between like who you are as a person. So then you start like subconsciously feeling like, okay, well, I'm a shit human being as well. You know what I mean? Like clearly, like I'm not that great at everything like IRL as well. But you need to be like, okay, that's just like my job. Like who gives a shit? Like they're not attacking me they don't know me as a person. Like they don't know the actual Garrett. Like you should worry about what your family thinks about you and stuff like that. But so often you just connect everything together in terms of your real life as well. And then it can just be so like mentally.
Yeah. I think like I don't think it's honestly in Rocket League, just because like the player base and pros are so young, even if they are like 21 or 22, that is still young in life, obviously. But like one thing that I don't think he's gone to Rocket League yet, but it's super impressive, is like when I hear stories about professional athletes, or just even just humans in general, where their look on life, or their day to day, or their personality, or like their mood is the same no matter what's going on. Like whether they lost, they just didn't have a good day, they didn't have a good week, it's just like their work isn't going well. They had a bad season of their career, where if you see them the next day, they're still the same like optimistic person, no matter if they just hit the highest of their high or the lowest of their low. And I think that in Rocket League is super, like no one is learning that, and it's like impossible to learn or like master. But I think that's where a lot of people are trying to get to, is like just trying to keep being the same person out of the game, not considering your results, like not having your results influence that. So I think a lot of, at least the older players now, like probably me, Garrett, Torment, are trying to like figure that out, because it's really tough to be the same person and try and be like optimistic even if your career isn't going the way you'd like.
I don't know if you guys are the same, but for me, whenever I didn't have like anything else going on outside of Rocket League, I played so much worse and was like getting like worse results and stuff
100%.
like that. Like for me, like even throughout COVID, when everything stopped, like whenever, this is like kind of a weird, whenever I play football, like sport, which is like AFL, not soccer, by the way, for everyone. But when I played like footy, when I was playing that on the side as well, and I had like things going on, and even like you look at the kids now, like when they're at school and they've got, like Yummy said, when people are at school and they have Rocket League, when you have this balance, it's like well, if you don't do good at one thing, it's fine because you've got like these other things going on. But as soon as like, I think COVID had a massive impact where everyone just stopped, everything shut down, and then like Rocket League just becomes everyone's life, or people, graduate or leave school and then just focus purely on Rocket League. I think for the most part, a lot of people struggle and will play even worse, even if they're putting in more time into the game because it just consumes you. Like, I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, I was excited when I finished high school. I was excited to like, I'm going full time. Like I'm gonna become a god. And then it wasn't like 3 months. Like I instantly noticed that my overall like mental health was already worse. Like it was already bad because for some reason, well, not for some reason, it makes sense. But even though like I would stay up late on a school night, like just being forced to wake up at 7 a.m. and like go and be around people every single day, even though like all I was thinking about was Rocket League afterwards, like I was just happy. Like even if something bad happened in Rocket League, like I had to go to school the next week and it forced me to do something instead of now, like when something really bad happened. First of all, when you lose, like when we missed London, right, you're not scrimming after, so you're doing nothing with Rocket League. Everyone else is preparing for an event that you're just not going to be at. Like I don't have anything. Like I don't have anything going on. Like I have to like make the decision to go do something. Like nothing is like when I was in school, like I had to go to school. So like something would take my mind off it, whether I wanted it to or not. Now it's like it has to be a decision that I make to like go and like be active or whatever. So it's just like a weird it at the time when I was in school I was like, geez, like I would have so much more free time if I could only do Rocket League, but I didn't realize how much at the time it like helped my mental health, I guess. Being forced to like be productive in something else.
But you also like I swear you also say, when you're at school, you're like, as soon as I finish school or if I left school, I'll be able to play Rocket League like 18 hours a day. Like
I'm gonna stream every day.
I'm gonna stream.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I'm telling you, people that don't like do anything, like you don't play in that, like, say you go to school 9 to 3, you're not playing Rocket League if you do it full time between 9 and 3. You're still playing the same amount as if you were doing these other co-curricular activities or stuff. Yeah, exactly.
I play less now.
Because because it's like all you do. So you're like, oh yeah, I guess I got to do that. But I feel like the more you have going on, I feel like it's this like false narrative of just like, if I only commit myself to Rocket League, I'm going to play so much. I'm going to have so much time. I'm going to get so much better. You're not playing like in that 9 to like early on or like when in school hours, stuff like that.
I mean, I can relate to when I had a full-time job and then I went professional, like full-time professional in season 4. It's like you have a routine and you're able to disconnect, like you said. And once you get rid of that, you don't really have that routine anymore. And you're just like stuck in a hole, it feels like. You're playing less, like Garrett says, and then you're sleeping really late too.
It's so hard to keep a good schedule with no responsibilities.
It's the worst. It's just like having to rebuild your routine to where you can be able to disconnect and then have that time schedule too. It's like really healthy for
it becomes discipline.
A lot of professional players.
It's like you have to have discipline when there's no
so tough.
Need to wake up.
It's also really hard to have a good schedule when even if you want to be better about it, your scrims are later because you still have like 15 and 16-year-olds that go to school, so they can't even practice when you want. Like I've always since I've gone out or I've been like out of high school, I've always, and like Jazo and I both won in Ology too, and we kind of got it moved a little bit, but like scrimming at 12 p.m. or like when you'd play basically 12-1 would be so much better like mentally. And you just like
we play at 1
sleep schedule.
Like I understand Europe because they don't play till 6.
Yeah.
Like it's fine, but I've always wanted to as well because we literally play like it doesn't matter how early I wake up throughout the week. When we play at 1 o'clock on the weekends, I feel tired no matter what because we scrim at 5.
Or just it feels different. It doesn't feel like
it does feel different. 100%.
That's why I've always wanted early scrim.
A big thing is when these kids are like in school, they're using Rocket League as an escape, even though Rocket League might be like what you might consider their job, especially if they're making however much money pros are making nowadays, like while still being in school. It's still an escape from like what is considered their actual job. And it's kind of hard to independently turn your what used to be escape into a job and create new escapes for yourself. Right? Because like, especially if you're still doing your old escape as a job, but in the same like basically schedule as you were when it was it was your fun. But it's no longer. It's hard to both keep it fun and turn it into a job, especially like with one scheduling makes it hard to actually get yourself another set of fun, right? Like
Yeah.
you might leave school, you might want to go have a social life, make Rocket League into your like full-time job, stream every day, but you can't do that if scrims are at 6 p.m. and you can't go get dinner with parents or friends or whatever.
That's like literally the biggest thing. Like one of the reasons that I retired was like it's the scrim, like the time slot every single day of the week. It's not even like how much you have to practice as a pro that is draining. It's just like always having to be at the same spot every day. Like, you know, between 5 and 7 p.m. Like you just miss that like dinner time or like going out with your mates and stuff like that.
This is an awkward time slot.
Yeah,
it's so awkward.
It just
literally like. Wait, when's the scrim slot during an OCE, CJ? Like what time?
It's like 5 to 7. Like you might be
okay,
5,
so it's
6 or 7.
pure prime dinner
the
time.
shift.
You should be eating dinner. Yeah.
It's the same thing if you work an actual job too. If you work like a 9 to 5, like I had to work a night shift. It's just not normal. You don't wake up at like a normal time because you're expected to stay late, and it's just like it ruins everything, your day-to-day life. And it's the same thing with scrims. Like you're always like locked in at night when you want to make plans to do things or decompress. And instead, you're locking into scrims. It's like, oh, okay, cool.
Well, like
That's why I feel like a lot of professional Rocket League players these days have like what we call a gamer sleep schedule because their free time is after their job, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah,
instead
'cause
of
even
going out and socializing, you're like playing ARAMs with the boys or something. You're going to queue Apex with like a few homies or something, and
For
that's your
me-
escape.
For me, like even like lately, I've been waking up a little bit earlier. Even though like I'm waking up earlier and I have a bunch of time before, like I can't like because I have something coming up during the day. I can't relax and do like something that would be free time. Like you have to do it after. Like mentally, it's hard to relax before the scrim.
yeah.
You know, so like the time slot is just so awkward. But even if it wasn't kids, like you have so many pros that it'd be impossible to like, it'd be so difficult to like force them to wake up that early. It would just be miserable.
Yeah, I feel like we only get that for LANs. Like LANs, everyone has that routine of like wake up early and then scrim early and then chill.
Yeah.
the whole
I feel
day.
so much
Good
better
vibes.
at land too
Yeah.
than like I do at home. I feel mentally. I mean, it's also because you're in a new area, so there's other factors. But like, I feel so much more usually mentally refreshed, just because like
Yeah, me too.
you could like at least in LA, and like Worlds, like after you would scrim and like you could be done at like 1 or 2, and you actually have a day. You don't have like you know just the night or like this terrible time of night that you just have to like make work because your scrims finish at 7. But like I could scrim at 2, and then I could go, you know,
Get
like
dinner.
at Worlds, I could go dinner with my family. But like, and one thing I hate about Rocket League, and I can't believe they've never done this. This is just my side rant. Is no central servers. I have literally since I was 18. I mean, it's obviously a choice, but like I had to move to the East Coast so I can get good ping for my job. So I always talked to my parents are always like, why can't you live in California with us? And I'm like, I literally wish I could, but because Psyonix refuses to do central servers, and I've complained about it for 5 years, I go live on the East Coast. And obviously it's a choice, but I feel like if I live on the West Coast, I'll have to retire soon just because of how much of a disadvantage it is.
Yep.
And that is like mind blowing to me. That is like another part of the job.
That is really weird.
Like
It feels
AJ
like
has
such a
moved East
simple
Coast.
thing.
AJ's moved East Coast. I think there's some others, but like West players they've been a dying breed, and it's like a joke, but like Dapper, Miho, I don't know some others, but like they literally, I feel like a big reason of them losing their
Turtle stopped. Turtle was West Coast.
Turtle, like a lot of people stopped being pros because like literally you had to, you know, move to the East Coast if you wanted to keep your job. Essentially.
Psyonix is West Coast as well, which is the craziest thing. You'd think that nearly like favor the West Coast over the East.
Yeah.
I feel like
you
at
could
some
be
point,
Texas.
I think it was just luck that a majority were East Coast, and then they started doing all the
Yeah.
tournaments East Coast because of that.
I think like a big problem is like goes hand in hand is they have an age like minimum of 15, which means they can't do what other esports have done and move everyone local somewhere. Like how
Yeah, because
League of
other
Legends,
esports like in like Halo and Call of Duty and like some and League of Legends are all in like one location, so they're able to like just play on like a ping that benefits them.
I personally feel like the format's great as it is now is great for like upcoming players, but I think it's just so bad for it's just so much Rocket League. Like I
Yeah.
can't imagine watching it if I was a fan. I don't like if I wasn't playing, I don't think I would care. There's so much. How would I? Like, there's no pressure on any match. Like, if to me at least, there's so much Rocket League. It's like, to me, I'd be over it in a month. Like, there's so many matches. That's just me. I don't know. Maybe that's wrong, but
You'd rather what?
I
League
mean,
play or
I
something?
agree with you there. I think like go ahead.
League play was like, it was bad, but it definitely was way better for like entertainment value and people following the league. Playing only 7 matches a season though was really bad, but I think for the viewing experience it was probably better. You can hype up a match a week in advance. I don't know. You have to dedicate so much time to be a Rocket League fan, I feel like.
Double round robin would have been a vibe.
I think so as well.
The
But
thing I also
you also would have a lot of people not, like, a lot of current pros wouldn't be pros, so it's great for that. But sorry, go ahead, Kyle.
No, you're good. I just think like the thing that also viewers don't understand is like the off season we had just now from last season to this season was
What off season?
criminal. But besides that, like I don't think viewers realize. So we lost like 2 weekends ago, or we didn't have a good performance, and they're like, "Oh, you get a weekend off though." No, like that weekend
No.
off that you have
That's like
is just
grinding.
more stress building up to the next tournament. And like the fact that I think viewers just don't realize is that's not like they're like, "Oh, you have 2 weeks off because you don't play until this Friday." So that's like what, 13 days off or something. And I really think viewers don't comprehend that. No, during that 13 days is just each day is more of a stress, usually more of a stress buildup until that day commences and you play that next tournament. And it makes the whole season feel like that. And if the season's like what, 9-10 months?
It's 11 months basically, isn't it? Like it's...
Yeah, no,
Just under, right? Like 10.5.
Did you guys find that like the 2019 when we had like the most lands ever actually wasn't like a burnout because it was like such a dynamic range of lands and
I thought it was fine.
Yeah, I thought it was
I thought it
fun
was fun.
because
Yeah,
like,
it was fun.
it was so fun. I mean, at this point, I think I was like 2 years out of school or like professional, like full time, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I was like, yo, I get to travel. I'm like traveling. I'm like thinking in my head, oh my god, like in this month span, I'm traveling to this place, and this place for like Rocket League. So it's actually like refreshing because worst comes to worst, you can spend extra time and go, do some sightseeing. But when it's just online, or you're just in your room, like you don't have that mental refresh or that refresh mental of visiting another place or just getting outside your setup at your home.
Did you guys happen to hear about the 2 split thing I mentioned last week on the CJCJ show? Chrome CJ, you guys remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
What you were saying? So I proposed a plan, not a plan, like a guide kind of, because you know how the 3rd regional of each split is an invitational.
Mm-hmm.
You turn that invitational into a regional LAN, and you get rid of the middle split. So you have 2 splits. You have the 3rd regional of each split being an invitational LAN. That's a regional LAN to qualify for the major, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then to replace the 2nd split, you introduce 2 third-party LAN events that have some sort of qualification relevancy towards Worlds. So that you end up having 6 LANs before Worlds. And only 2 actual RLCS splits.
How cool would it be if they did, like how CS, they'd say, hey, this time it's going to be like an E-League and that's going to help qualify, or this time it's going to be this DreamHack and you're going to get qualification points. So like how CS sort of do it, like circuit points, but they like pick different TOs. Like this year, like we've got 2 LAN spots, this time it's going to be E-League, this time it's going to be like WSOE, this time it's going to be like a BTS or stuff like that. They just like gave it to third-party TOs instead of it just being all run through Sonics, run through RLCS. Like they had these separate events, so it felt fresh. Like they were different formats and stuff like that. And yeah, and you let the third-party TOs have tournaments, but also you could qualify through the Worlds through that.
Well,
mix it
I
up.
could be wrong. I mean, that would sound great if that's your, but like, is Psyonix still like contracted with a specific, production team or something?
Yeah, they use ESL DreamHack for all their
So
events.
like that's why they can't, go to an E-League or go to a DreamHack and then go to like a Blast Pro. Like I don't think Blast Pro does wrong, but for example, like those other TOs, it's because they're like kind of contract. They like restricted themselves with that one tournament organizer, which does all their events.
I definitely think they could renegotiate, and if they do, like, have an exclusivity clause or something that only they can do any Rocket League esports, then that's kind of scuff for that. But I definitely think they could just have DreamHack and ESL be the main, or like RLCS production, and then also bring in other third-party tiers like E-League, Blast, IEM, other people.
But yeah,
Like, I think they could renegotiate that.
I think, yeah, as you said, I don't want to dive too much into like formats and stuff. We sort of spoke about at the start of the show, but I think, as you said, Chicago, like the main problem right now is there really isn't an off season. But if you're not a top team, you're not playing for 7 months of the year. Like you're finishing up in May, you're finishing up your split.
Yeah.
Like the spring split, third regionals in May, and then you're not playing again until September, like end of September, and then you're playing 2 regionals, and then you're not playing until January. Like you're playing 2 regionals in 7 months. But if you're making worlds, making all the majors, you have a month off, and if your team's making a roster move or you're unsure about your position, you're going to be scrimming throughout that whole month.
Yeah, it also feels like some of these splits are like a drag too, because you're playing every other week, but then every other week you're not having a break technically, like what Chicago said earlier. So it makes it even more stressful too, because then you're playing a million matches just to make it to one LAN, and it's just like, ugh.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, like Rotterdam almost feels like a continuation of last season. Like I know it's a different season, but in my when I just think about the past,
again.
It just feels like I'm just still connected to last season. Like I'm still just going. It doesn't feel like this is like, okay, this is a new event with like new points and everything. It just feels like, oh, I'm back at another land. Like it's just like, okay, you do this. It's like it feels like such a
Do you think
routine.
it's
Like, okay,
do you think it's just like all the majors? Like, well, for one, I felt like the majors felt like worlds. Like, people wanted to win. People are saying in chat, like, oh, the teams didn't care about winning the major. They just wanted to accumulate points for worlds. No, I feel like
that was the biggest lie.
Everyone that went to
a
major wanted to win the major just as much as the world championships. Like, literally just as much. It felt like just as impressive. The hype was there. Like, it was a similar, like, crazy crowd and stuff like that. And it felt, I don't know, to me, it felt like we basically had 4 world championships. Like, the build up, the hype, like, everything about it. For the players, at least.
Yeah, no. Majors were crazy. I mean, I think Worlds was just a different level just because, like, the venue was bigger, the money was bigger, so that's the only difference. But in terms of, like, I was just as sad when I lost a majors I would have been at when I lost in Worlds in season 7, or like season 6. It wasn't like I wasn't like okay, it's a major, like I'm good. Like no, it was like that. It's a LAN, you're playing against international competition. You don't want to just. It's like okay, fine. Worlds is at the end of the corner. No, you want to. Yeah, I don't understand that argument.
Like it's like you make a roster change, your roster blows up, and you literally have no break. You're just right back into the swing of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not enough time to cool down. There's not enough time to absorb everything that happened. Even just like you don't have time for a break, but you also don't have time to just like think about absorb everything that happened the past season.
I think I could be wrong, but in between RLCS like X and 21-22, there was like an actual off season. And I remember I literally tried not to play the game because I knew how much of like a grind it was going to be. And it actually felt good because I was just like, I was back home. I was just enjoying life. Like, and then because I knew how bad and how stressful it'd be once you start that season. Because at that point you have no breaks. But this season, you had maybe 3 weeks of that compared to 2 months. Or like 2 weeks of that.
Champs was in June and we didn't start till like October or September or something.
Yeah, where
like
this one I literally knew teams that started scrimming a week and a half or 2 weeks after Worlds. Like that is absolutely absurd.
Yeah, people were messaging because everyone made roster changes. People were messaging us like, "When are you guys gonna swim?" And we're like, "Oh, we're taking a break." And it almost felt troll to take a break because it was like so close. It felt like we were like throwing by actually taking a break, but.
No, I felt like
everyone made a roster change and everyone just hyped the scrim besides us and G2 probably.
Like for example, like I think Mist was like obviously I can say it now, but he's like trying out with FaZe or something, and he like wanted to scrim us because the greatest teams hadn't started scrimming yet, like us, Energy, etc. But he was like joking with me and you'd be like, "Oh, G2's getting lazy. Okay." And I'd be like,
Wait, who said that?
Eventually miss.
Yeah,
But like,
that's
Oh,
I knew he was joking, but eventually I like started thinking in my own head. I was like, do I like try and find?
I started
a place
getting
on the East?
nervous.
Yeah, I was
getting
like,
nervous.
am I
Yeah.
fucking
Oh
up
my
because
God.
I'm not like scrimming, even though I just played like it, and I was like, you know what, I gotta start, looking for places on the East Coast. I gotta get out there. I gotta start playing. And it was just like, dude, I genuinely was worrying myself because I was taking a break when these other teams started scrimming right after Worlds.
I feel like you're just at a huge disadvantage too with the season right away. Like we started scrimming early, FaZe scrimmed a little bit earlier than us, and I feel like it was a huge advantage for us going into that first event. We were so confident, especially for that invitational quals, compared to some teams who just started scrimming like Furia and Gen G, and they got punished for it. I felt they didn't qualify.
Yeah, I think
I was gonna say it's like the biggest we talk about the monkey moon stress. Like the biggest thing as well is like this secondhand when you're not practicing or playing or scrimming. It's like that thought in the back of your head that you should be, like that guilt that you feel if you're not like grinding as much as other people. It actually like weighs you down.
Well, so many people don't make the events that they just keep playing, or like they've already had a 3-month break. So like everyone else in Europe is probably scrimming.
they're
besides
itching, bro.
4
of the teams or something, because they just haven't played anything since. When was the last split? April?
May.
The end of the last split was May, and then
yeah.
what? It was all the way at the end of August when
end of
Worlds ended.
September.
So everyone else is like ready to play, and then you
What
just
if-
got home from your win at Worlds. I don't know, it's just funny.
What if Riyadh and Worlds were swapped?
Riyadh.
That would have been better, yeah.
And like, you could like people probably could just if they wanted a break could have just not gone to Gamers
Well,
8.
that was the best part about the Dream Hacks is that like if you can go and like get your competition. If you don't want to go, you don't have to go. Like,
And you don't have to
I don't
sweat
know.
in a qualifier. You can just go.
Yeah, you can just go up, open event, and there's just like so much less stress. There wasn't the problem about this season is it's an 11-month season, but the weight of it, like from the first split, I know the points increase every split, but you're still playing for Worlds Regional 1 in like September of the year before.
Yeah, everything
You know what I mean?
feels like it matters all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just on. So
Because if you're not one of the 5 teams who make a major, it's like kind of rough. I think that's why there's so little spots to get like the majority of the points. I think that's why. I feel like that's why, because we're trying to make Worlds, but you've got to make these smaller events to make Worlds. So it's like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's constant. It's not a build up throughout. It's like you got to start making it. Unless you go on a deep run at the end, but that's it.
If Garrett quals and I don't, or vice versa, or neither of us qual, we still have these tournaments as stress for the end of the year at Worlds. So you can't take a tournament off and be like, okay, whatever. Like this tournament tomorrow, even if we don't play our absolute best, it could literally ruin our chance for 8 months or for the World Championship 9 months from now. So it literally makes every tournament so like insanely stressful that it's just crazy to think about.
I guess it's just how it is. It's just like I think for being so much online Rocket League, it feels like that's why I think it feels like a continuation of last season, because we're just playing thousands of games online to try to make this one event or like these 3 or 4 events. I don't know. I think for me, it's like the amount of online games to just, especially when you don't make it, like when you don't make one, it's like you played so much online Rocket League and then you still didn't make it. And then because you didn't make it, you got to play more online and do even better I don't know. It's just, I think the online Rocket League is the amount of online games is what makes it like feel kind of bad to me.
I wanted to ask you, Garrett, like in regards to the stress, like you guys in particular, NIG have been under the pump for, since, as you said, since I guess LA. I want to ask that OT winner against Optic when you stood up and went off, was that like, hell yeah, like we won, we're through the semis, or was that like a F you, everyone, like we're still here sort of thing? I always want to, because I watched
Energy's
that
comp video if you want to check it out, CJ.
Well, usually I'm like watching Justin slot one in that moment, so it was like it felt good to be like the person doing it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, it was just cool. I wasn't thinking to. Yeah, it probably was like that. Like it was just nice to get a good placing, even if like, I don't think it was like a necessarily hard run, but it just felt good to be back in the conversation, I guess. Like we have a chance to make it, you know. So I don't know. I think I was more hyped that I just scored in the way I did. I think.
I mean, you did kind of peak, honestly.
Yeah, and it just felt good.
It was cool. It looked at, I don't know. I probably interpret differently. It looked just like a not a weight off your shoulders, but like just a release of like tension. Like there would have been so much tension like built up. And then you finally get a good result, sort of thing.
No, it definitely helped me a lot because I'm honestly not like super stressed out about this tournament, just because I mean, to be honest, like I don't think I'm confident that we can do it, but I don't think people expect us to be, you know, out. Like we've lost to Fury twice. Like I think I think people don't say it because of who we are, kind of, but I think we are like the dark horse to make it. Personally, like I don't think we're someone who's like in the projection to make it just off what you would say beforehand. My opinion, I could be wrong, but in terms of like our results and stuff, I think we'd be the upset pick, like to get the 5th seed. So that's why I'm not like, I don't have like a lot of expectations on us right now. But I'm confident. So
do you like,
I don't know.
I guess, being, you know, for so long you guys have been like, you know, they're the team that's going to make it. I know like you don't want to be in this position, but in terms of like that perception of like, all right, you know, it'd be surprising if NRG made it. Do you like, I guess, for once being the underdog coming into a scenario like this?
It makes every win feel better for sure, because even when, like, I remember in RLCS, a lot of people were kind of like trash talking us because we were getting so many second places anyway. Like, this whole experience has kind of made me realize that no matter what happens, like, you just get shit on regardless. Because even when we were like, it was like given we'd make at least like 2 finals a split, we were still getting trashed on for not winning those chances we had. Like, I remember we had like the lowest final win percentage, and that was like the topic of discussion, that we were choking in finals. Or like, we made it all the way to the fall major final, and the whole takeaway was that we were smiling while losing, and we were getting trashed on for that. So it's like, no matter what we do, I feel like even if we're making the final of something, like someone's gonna find something wrong, unless you're winning. That's the only time that people just can't absolutely trash on you, is if you win. But for me personally,
that doesn't even last that long, right?
Yeah, and then it goes away the next tournament as soon as you lose, like a little BDS wash. Like it's just it's whatever. But for me personally, it makes the wins that we do get now like feel better. But obviously, I like I liked when we were just making it off the second regional. So
I feel like this is also kind of a special season because of how much talent we have in the region at the moment.
Yeah, that's true.
It's tough.
I mean, even when we were making off the second regional, we were like stressing out about. It's never enough, to be honest. Like I think no matter what, I'd be stressed out. I mean, I think that's just how competition is. But
I mean, at least it means you care.
Yeah.
I think there's plenty of people that like might be in your same position but just not care.
Probably a reason why you've been so consistent is because like you perform under pressure, and as you said, the people that don't care usually don't make it or don't stay at the top. But if you constantly like, you know, in the heat of the battle and you love being there, then you're gonna want to keep, I guess, fighting and keep making events.
Yeah, missing London was hard. Not like, it wasn't even because in my head I was like, oh, I'm missing the event. It was just that, like, in a ego and like selfish way, it was like, oh, everyone's fine without me. Like, you know, everyone's like, the event's like lit without me. Like, I'm not needed. That's how it felt, kind of. But like, it was just like because I've been to every single one. You know, it was like I felt like I needed to be there. And then, like, I remember in the back of my head, I was like, surely, like, somehow this works out. Like, surely somehow we make it. And then, nope. I mean, not like it kind of was like, it wasn't humbling because I knew like we were not playing well. It was more like I just saw it coming because we started off bad, but then it actually happened, and I was like, oh my god, like I'm actually just gonna be sitting at home for one of them. But
it was like, remember Madrid?
Yeah, Madrid was sad. I think it was the first Worlds I'd missed and being in RLCS, and it was just like, yeah, I mean, it was painful, but I think that was a little different though, Jaws, because we were in relegation, so like we were fighting for our career.
I would just think about that too. Like there is no promo relegation these days because it's so open.
Everything feels like relegation.
I mean, I guess that's not the way to look at it. I was hoping to go the other way, and you could just like always make it back in. But
well,
yeah.
I mean, Yeah, it is a stressful time, but look, I don't want to keep these guys too long. I think it's been an absolutely eye-opening experience here, but I want to finish off. We have to talk about this weekend, boys. And we have to get your guys, this is what we always do, we have to get your top 5 predictions for this weekend, and you absolutely can include yourself. So maybe this is a part of the buff, is because people always put themselves in and then they believe it. But so what we do is here, if you boys don't know, we're going to do a top 5. So you do your 1 to 4, usually, your first, second, and then your third, fourth equal, and then your best performing quarterfinal team. So your 5th spot is your best performing 5 to 8 team. So we'll wrap it up here because we don't want to keep these guys too long. So get thinking for your top 5 for this weekend. But it's gonna be an absolute battle. Garzo, do you want to kick us off with the top 5 and wrap it up? And let's see where these boys' heads are at.
I guess I could do a little bit of that. Listen.
Are you trying to look at the standing, like the points, or are you just gonna go purely off like just 1 to 5?
No, I'm thinking, I'm spitballing right now because I forgot that I had to do this, but I'm gonna. It's it's coming straight from me. All right.
All right.
G2 has got to be number 1. All right.
Massive.
Right. I mean, I'm wearing G2 shirt right now. I believe in the CJCJ show buff. I believe in the squad.
Oh.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, it's gonna be FaZe. It's gonna be a rematch from the semifinal that G2 lost in Regional 1.
Okay.
The 3rd and 4th are gonna be SSG and NRG because I still believe in the CJCJ show buff.
Of course.
And I think that Gen G is gonna be the best looking team in quarters.
NG don't make it top 2. Rome, you wanna take the reins?
I'm at a crossroads. Do I go for the ultimate tiebreaker? Like I want to see the tiebreaker held gone loose. Yeah, why not? I'm gonna go us and FaZe in the finals. I don't know who's gonna win. We'll see. I'll say us. We're gonna win. Top 4 will be G2 and Energy. So we can see the juicy tiebreaker right after the grand finals.
Mhm.
And 5th through 8th, Gen G. Furia misses out. And for other teams, I don't know. Doesn't really matter.
I want the tiebreaker. Maybe after this we just have to say who's your 5 major teams, because I guess it'll depend on. But man, these points, I don't want to look at the points because I feel I'm like you. I want to get the tiebreakers. I think Fury is going to do well this event because they seem to be on an upward trajectory, a bit like NRG. But well, are they going to do? Look, I'm gonna. Tough. I said in my head I thought Fury top 2, but now I'm trying to put it into words. I don't know who I omit. All right, let's go. Number 1, who's gonna win the event? Number 1.
You're like sweating right now. You're having a tough time.
I'm actually sweating. I think
you're the one that asked the question. You're not even prepared.
It's whether I'm thinking like this is such a unique situation. I don't know if you guys agree, where like the top 4, I guess, don't have much pressure, but then the bottom, like the 6 below that, have so much pressure. But who, like, does that mean that the bottom 6, like below that with the pressure, are going to perform better because they care about it more, and the top guys are like,
it'll be worse.
You think it's going to be worse? All right. Well, in that case, I'll go number 1. I'll go FaZe. I think I'll just go FaZe on top. Number 2, I'm gonna go V1. This is good for the tie. Number 3 and 4, G2 NRG. So we get the tiebreaker, and then best performing 5th, we'll go Roberto. He's not going to make it top 4. He's going to ruin our buff. But I think at this point, there's no way we can have all three of you guys again. Like Chrome, you can't. We're 9 for 9 with you guys making top 4 as well. There's no way we're going to get SSG, G2, and NRG in the top 4 again. Or are we? But
the statistics say 100%. So I don't know.
Statistics do say you're there. I'm going to put you.
I just want to say, someone called my top 5 PR. CJ's. That was so PR.
That wasn't. I put Chrome outside top. I could have put Chrome in top 4, but I put SSG outside, so I'll put him. But I think that works out to get the tiebreaker between you two, which should obviously be what we want. But who am I? I think we'll have to predict, boys. We'll have to predict who's going to actually make the major. But before that, who wants to go first?
my God. Let me get it over with.
Okay, good.
I'm gonna go for peak content. I'm gonna say us versus Energy in the finals, Old El Clasico. And honestly, out of any teams that can make it, I hope it's us or Energy. Like, no disrespect to Optic, whatever. Furia. I just want us or Energy to go. So, but of course, I'm gonna go for us. So, us 1, Energy 2, Phase 3, SSG 4, and I think I have V1 5. So, like V1, that means like V1's best team in quarters or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll go for that. But give me the peak matchup. Basically, a tiebreaker in the final. Best of both worlds.
That would go crazy.
I was thinking, like, what if somehow it ends up being something like us, G2, Complexity, and Fury on the same side of the bracket, and then it's like a whoever
gauntlet.
makes the final like makes the major. I feel like that'd be cool. But I'll just say I'll put us and G2 top 4 for the tiebreaker. Why not? And then V1's weird because I feel like if they make when they make Sunday, they do really they're kind of weird. Like they look weird in Swiss, and then they make the bracket and they look really good. I'm gonna say SSG wins, and then V1 second, and then us top 4, and then I don't care about the rest. But
just saying SSG finally wins a regional after a whole year of not winning.
I mean, I feel like SSG's look good every event, and then just their first match on Saturday, they just kind of look flat. Like I think, Sunday, not Saturday, Sunday. Like I think they've been. I felt like this whole split, like SSG was gonna win one, so I'm gonna say it.
Who you got at 5th?
Does 5th matter? What is 5th? Or
just your best performing
quarters
team. Most unlucky. That went on in the semis.
Furia. I'll put Furia.
Not backing card. I think Fury. I don't know. I think it's gonna be plastic. I think it's gonna be crazy. I think actually he's gonna be ridiculous. I'd rather have the gauntlet side that Garrett said than have like 3rd, 4th tied for a tiebreak. I think I'd rather have like quarterfinals.
It'd be like a mini tournament.
You'd rather have the tiebreaker in the bracket.
Yeah, like quarterfinals, it's G2 NRG, and then like semifinals, it's like G2 or NRG versus Furia. Or something like that.
Dude, that'd be the most stressful.
That'd be so hard.
Like if like you beat a team, a team knocking them out for like your major spot, and then you have to play another team, like it's like, oh my God, I would hate my life in that moment.
We're just EU now. It's fine.
That's why Swiss is so interesting. Like anything can happen.
Yeah.
All right, Reed, what you got, bro?
What are we
Wait,
doing?
what?
Are we doing majors?
Gary did his.
Oh shit.
Wait, let's finish off then,
bro's
because I guess it'll depend on who you've got in the bracket part. So I think we've all got top 4. No one's predicting Space Station not to make the major, are they?
No.
All right, well then let's finish off. But I guess it's based on our predictions. But who's a 5th team? Who makes the major after the tiebreakers? Garzo.
I mean, is that even a question? To me?
Biased. Chrome, who you got? I'm not even.
There you go.
I mean, I had Furia from the last regional, but if we get that juicy tiebreaker with G2 and Energy, I'm gonna have to go with G2.
I haven't really predicted Furia to do top 5, so I can't really say they're gonna. I think G2 not on pay, should have the highest likelihood of making the major. Points. I think I'm gonna have to go.
Wow. I feel like this is like the curse to the buff or something.
Yeah, actually, I'll go NRG then. I'll swing it just so you don't. So you're not like everyone.
I appreciate it. All right, thank you for having me on the show. I'll be good to go.
Are you guys gonna curse each other if the actual tiebreaker happens? On Twitter?
No. AJ did that to me, and I don't forgive him for it, and I hope no one ever does it to someone else. But if it's us and Energy, I won't be too mad. But like, because those are the 2 teams I'd want to make it. So I wouldn't be too mad at that point.
All right, then. I think we've wrapped it up. Did we get a poll? Best top 5. Let's have a look. Garrett is dominating. 5.
Yeah, me and
Wait,
CJ, our
didn't-
PR answers are the worst.
Wait, Garrett didn't even have face on that. Wow, that's crazy.
FaZe already made it. They're chilling.
Yeah, them and
Bro,
Gen G are
cares?
Missy
They don't
seems
even-
the
Rotterdam
biggest
right now.
fan.
They
I don't
shouldn't
know
even
if he thinks
care.
the same
They're
thing.
just chilling.
Just throw. I can see them
Honestly,
not making
well,
it out of Swiss. Just
See,
throw.
that's why I didn't have Gen G in there. But like, because Gen G actually already made it. FaZe is like, I feel like FaZe wants to losing to
They-
Gen G motivated them again.
Yeah.
So that's why I have FaZe. But like, I feel like Gen G, like, for them, they're sleeping good no matter what. So they literally have no.
Last season,
I mean, obviously they care, but
like last season, the first split, we won the first 2 regionals and then came like 5th to 8th in the last one because we'd already qualified and we are like, oh well. Like I feel like it's
Yeah.
actually that mindset. You're just like, oh,
no,
who
you
cares?
100%. You care obviously, but there's nowhere you can't replicate it. The same feeling when you actually have something on the line compared to when you don't.
Yeah.
Off
But-
topic, real quick. When you guys make the major, what would you rather be like for like Swiss? That is because you guys played at Sweden. Would you rather have a lower seed going into it or a higher seed?
A harder first
Like,
matchup.
do you want an
I
easier
think I'd-
first round matchup or harder
I think-
first round?
I think on LAN, if you have a harder matchup first, that's more beneficial, to be honest.
Yeah.
I agree.
see that.
Especially for Swiss too.
Yeah.
Maybe not like double limb, but for Swiss, I think getting a hard match first is the best format you could do it in, especially on LAN.
I think you want a higher.
I was thinking the same thing.
You want a harder matchup, but you don't want a lower seed still because like if you have tied game diff with someone, you still
Yeah.
want to keep getting the tougher team. So
Yeah.
I still
You want like a 3 seed, maybe a 2 that still plays like an EU team or something. In
yeah.
that case,
Like we beat Endpoint 3-1, but then I think we went into phase because our seed was still so low, even though we had a
Yeah.
decent game diff, and they were like second seed NA.
I mean, obviously, like NA, you want NA1 just because you want to obviously have the more favorable matchup to go 1-0. But if you're like NA3, that's like kind of the best matchup. I mean, that could end up being really good for you because you get a hard first round that, like, best of both worlds. If you end up getting the win and you play a good team, it's just pure confidence boost. You feel 10 times better than if you beat a team where you were expected to beat them like 10 out of 10 times.
But I guess that's a story for our major show when that does happen. Maybe we'll get one of these boys back on after they qualify for the major, or if not, we'd love to, I guess, have you on next split back on. But it's been an absolute pleasure, boys. That is going to wrap it up. Don't want to keep you guys too long. I did tell them an hour and a half, and we went for 2 hours, but I think we had some good content and had some fun. So thanks, boys, for coming on. Absolute legends.
Yeah.
Appreciate
No worries.
you,
Thanks for
Thanks,
having me.
guys.
Having us. Appreciate it.
Any
Good luck
final
this weekend.
thoughts from you? Yeah, final thoughts from you, Chrome Dome?
Wish you guys the best of luck. Hope we have like a nice, steady, easy regional and nothing crazy happens again. And all the best of luck.
I want like Garrett said, I want like the round 5 of Swiss to be the first like tiebreaker matchup, and then quarterfinals, semifinals from then on is still just tiebreakers, just people playing each other that are in contention.
I want the ultimate Mickey bracket for this one.
You want to see the world burn, CJ?
I want to see the world. Well, that's not the world. I think probably the
I
players
just want to see
wouldn't
good
want it.
content, right?
It is
It's
good
our
content.
world's burning, but it's good.
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
Good content for the viewers.
I mean, if the one team though
Content.
that makes it out of that gauntlet would just be like, that'd be so hype though. You ran the gauntlet and played like 3 teams that were all like around the same points as you. But anyway, we're gonna wrap it up here. Thanks boys again for hanging out. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. I don't know if anyone's alive to chuck a raid over to, but that was the CJ show number 5. NA, the last NA regional. Hopefully these boys. Well, I don't think it's physically possible for all 3 NA boys in this chat to make the major, but hopefully we get some close games. Whoever doesn't make it will be bouncing back next split. But can't wait for it. Thanks everyone for hanging out, and yeah, we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.